My husband's coworker texted him, and I felt it in my bones. Not rage, not fear, just this sharp, electric curiosity that buzzed beneath my skin like a static charge waiting to snap. The message itself wasn't much, just a line of text followed by one of those cutesy blushing emojis. "You're hilarious. I swear, you make my day better every time." Her name was Sophie. I'd heard it before. He'd mentioned her once or twice in passing, the bright, chatty one from accounting, the one who made their painful Monday meetings a little less brutal, the one who always baked something for birthdays. She seemed harmless? Until she wasn't. Let me rewind a little. I've been married to Noah for 5 years. He's not just my husband, he's my calm in a world of chaos. I work in theater design, sets, lighting, staging. He's in finance. Our worlds rarely collide, and that's always worked for us. Where I am impulsive and loud and live off caffeine and adrenaline, Noah is steady, thoughtful, and exactly the kind of man who sets reminders for his reminders. We balance each other. At least we used to. The last few months had been weird. Not bad, just distant. Like we were living side by side instead of together. The kind of distance that creeps in without fanfare or warning. You blink one day and your husband's laughing at texts from someone named Sophie, and you don't remember the last time he laughed like that with you. But here's the thing, I didn't get angry. I got interested because I know my husband. I know every tell, every twitch of his mouth, every glance. And while Sophie was clearly testing boundaries, Noah wasn't pushing back, but he wasn't crossing any lines either. Yet. So instead of confronting him, I watched and waited and plotted. A week later, I sent Sophie a message, innocent enough. "Hey, it's Nora, Noah's wife. I was wondering if you'd want to meet for coffee sometime. Just girl to girl, no drama, just curious about something." She responded within the hour. "Sure. Is everything okay?" "Totally. I just like to go straight to the source." We met at a little coffee shop near her office. I wore a soft gray turtleneck and minimal makeup. I wanted to look warm, approachable, the kind of woman who could ask something bold and somehow make it feel like an invitation instead of a trap. Sophie was prettier than I expected, not in a flashy way, just soft features, kind eyes, and that slightly nervous energy of someone who smiles too much when they're unsure. She sat across from me, clutched her latte with both hands, and said, "So, this is unusual." I nodded. "Totally, but I figured, hey, why wonder when you can just ask?" She blinked. "Ask what, exactly?" I took a sip of my coffee, let the silence stretch just long enough. Then, "Do you have a thing for my husband?" Her face flushed bright pink. She almost dropped her cup. No, I mean, I really respect him. He's easy to talk to and relax," I said, smiling. "I'm not mad, but I'm also not blind." Sophie stared at me, then down at her cup, then back at me. "Okay," she whispered. Maybe a little." That was the moment. Right there, that tiny confession. It should have triggered something in me. Jealousy, defensiveness, anger. Instead, I felt the strangest thing. Possibility. Something clicked into place. I leaned forward, folding my hands on the table. "What if?" I said slowly. "I told you I wasn't here to stop you. What if I wanted to explore this with you?" Her mouth fell open. "What do you mean?" I smiled. "I mean, maybe you and Noah are drawn to each other for a reason, and maybe there's a version of this story where nobody gets hurt, one where we all get what we want." She stared at me like I'd spoken a language she barely understood. "Are you suggesting?" I didn't say anything, just waited. She exhaled, slow, and said nothing more. But I saw it in her eyes, the glint of something dangerous and new. When I got home that night, Noah was in the kitchen stirring pasta. He looked up, smiled. "You're late. Everything okay?" I kissed his cheek. "Everything's perfect." He didn't ask, but if he had, I might have told him that this story, the one he thinks he's living, has only just begun. Noah didn't suspect a thing. Not when I started dressing a little different. Not when I switched perfumes. Not even when I suggested we start trying new things to shake off the routine. If anything, he seemed grateful, relieved, like he was afraid we were slipping too, but didn't know how to pull us back. What he didn't know was that I wasn't pulling us back. I was guiding us somewhere else entirely. It's funny how marriages have blind spots, little gaps where truths can live, invisible but very real. Sophie was becoming one of those truths, shoved somewhere in the corner of our dynamic where I could pretend she didn't matter. Until she did. We didn't speak again after coffee, not right away. She needed time, she said, time to think, to process. Fair. I was asking a lot, but it didn't stop me from wondering, imagining, planning. What would happen if she said yes, and what would happen if Noah found out? Too soon, too suddenly? The answer to both was chaos, but maybe the good kind. 2 weeks later, I got a text from Sophie. I can't stop thinking about what you said. Are you sure? About all of it? I stared at my phone longer than I should have, and then, yes, come over Friday. Bring wine, she responded with one word. Okay, that Friday I cleaned the apartment like it was an altar. Candles, music. I cooked something easy but impressive. I wore silk. Not for her, not for him, for me. I wanted to remember this night because I knew it would be the last night of our old life and the first night of something different. Noah walked in around 6, kissed me, complimented the food, then noticed the second place setting. Expecting someone, I smiled. Sophie's coming, he blinked. Sophie from work? He looked around, confused but polite. That's nice of you to invite her. It is, I said, pouring him a glass of wine. It really, really is. The knock came at 6:43. When I opened the door, Sophie looked breathtaking, nervous, but beautiful. She held a bottle of wine like a peace offering. Noah stood behind me, frozen. Hi, she said, eyes darting between us. Hi, I said. Come in. Dinner was weird. Noah kept the conversation light, surface level. He asked Sophie about her dog, about a mutual coworker who got fired, about her weekend plans. I watched them, studied them. Not for jealousy, but for chemistry, and oh, it was there, but he didn't know how to read it. Not yet. I could see it in the way his knee bounced under the table, the way he kept glancing at me like I'd reveal the punchline to a joke he wasn't sure he was in on. Sophie tried her best to act normal, but she barely touched her food. Her eyes flicked between us like she was waiting for someone to say, "Just kidding." No one did. After dessert, tiramisu and another bottle of wine, I stood. "Help me in the kitchen?" I asked Sophie. She nodded, followed me. Once out of earshot, I leaned in and whispered, "You okay?" "I don't know what's happening," she said softly. "You can leave. No pressure, but if you stay, just follow my lead." She swallowed. "Okay." I touched her arm, and trust me. Back in the living room, I dimmed the lights and cued a playlist. Something slow, something suggestive. Noah sat on the couch, watching us both with thinly veiled confusion. He looked at me as I poured 3 fresh glasses. "I feel like I'm missing something," he said. "You are," I replied, "but only for a minute." Sophie sat beside him. I sat on his other side. I turned to face him, my fingers grazing his shoulder. "You know how we've both felt a little stuck lately?" He nodded slowly. "Yeah. I've been thinking a lot about what that means and what we want, what we've never let ourselves want." He glanced at Sophie, then back to me. "What are you saying?" I took a breath. "I'm saying I don't want to be scared of curiosity anymore. I don't want you to be either." His eyes widened. Sophie didn't move. I leaned forward, kissed him gently, then turned to Sophie. She froze. I kissed her too. Software. Intentional. When I pulled back, Noah's mouth was slightly open. "I don't understand," he said. "You don't have to. Not tonight." I reached for his hand, then hers. We don't have to define anything. No expectations, no rules, just honesty. Sophie looked at Noah. He looked at me. And something shifted. We talked for hours about boundaries, about what this was and what it wasn't, about fears, insecurities, fantasies. We laughed, drank, moved closer. Somewhere around midnight, Noah took Sophie's hand without me guiding him. At 12:14 a.m., I saw the moment her wall dropped. At 12:27, we kissed again, all three of us. It wasn't perfect, it wasn't polished, but it was real, and that's all I wanted. The next morning, I woke up between them, skin tangled with skin, hair on my face that wasn't mine. I lay there for a long time, listening to the quiet. It should have felt surreal. Instead, it felt like exhaling, like I'd been holding my breath for years. Here's where it gets tricky. We didn't talk about what it meant. Not right away. Life doesn't pause for clarity. Noah had work, Sophie had a brunch, I had rehearsal. We left it as a beautiful question mark, but questions have weight, and some of them don't stay unanswered for long. Because when I checked Sophie's phone later, yes, with her permission, I saw something that made my stomach drop. Not from that night, from before. The real first message, sent months ago. I know you're married, but if you ever wanted someone to notice you again, I'm right here. It wasn't sent to Noah. It was sent to me. And I'd never seen it. The moment I read that message, if you ever wanted someone to notice you again, I'm right here. Something cracked open inside me. Sophie hadn't been flirting with Noah to get to him. She was flirting with Noah to get to me. And the worst part, I'd already let her in, not just into our home or our marriage, into me. It started like a game, didn't it? Like I was in control, like I was choosing to open a door that had always been locked. But looking back now, I think that door was already open. I just hadn't realized someone had walked in and rearranged the furniture. I didn't tell Noah about the message. Not yet. I needed to sit with it, feel what it meant, whether I felt betrayed, flattered, something in between. But over the next few weeks, something shifted again. Sophie texted me more than she texted him, asked to see me alone, said things like, I think about that night all the time, but mostly you. One night, we met for drinks without telling Noah. I told myself it was harmless, just two women trying to understand what the hell they'd gotten themselves into. But the truth? It felt like a second affair within the first. When she touched my hand that night, I didn't pull away. When she leaned in, I kissed her first. Meanwhile, Noah noticed. Of course he did. He always notices when something's off. But when he asked, I deflected. We said no rules, I reminded him. Yeah, he replied, but I didn't think that meant secrets. It wasn't an accusation. It was worse. It was disappointment. Eventually, it all came out. I showed him the message, told him what happened, told him how I felt, and I expected him to be furious, heartbroken, or at least confused. But he wasn't any of those things. He was tired. You know, he said, I always wondered if I was enough for you. Not in a jealous way, just a quiet fear. But now I realize it was never about that. He looked at me, calm and clear. You weren't trying to find someone new. You were trying to find yourself again. I didn't know what to say. He stood up, kissed my forehead. I love you, but I think maybe this chapter needs to end. Sophie cried when I told her, not because of him, because of me. I wasn't trying to take you from him, she whispered. I just wanted to know what it felt like to be seen by you. I told her I understood, because I did. It's been 3 months. The apartment is quiet now. Noah moved out last week. Sophie and I don't speak much anymore. Not because of anger, because maybe it was never meant to last beyond the fire. But here's the twist, the one I hinted at from the very beginning. That message, the first one, I didn't see it by accident. Sophie showed it to me. She handed me her phone weeks ago, long before I told her to come over. She said, I want you to see this. I read it and pretended I hadn't. So this wasn't just a story about discovery or desire or betrayal. It was a story about choice. I saw what was coming. And I walked into it anyway. Maybe I wanted chaos. Maybe I wanted something to break so I could rebuild. Maybe I just wanted to know what it would feel like to be the storm for once, not the one hiding from it. So here I am, single, still stunned, and oddly, deeply okay because I know myself better now, and I know what I'm capable of. Not just love, but ruin. And from ruin comes truth. Thanks for listening. I don't know if this was a confession or a warning, but if you ever find yourself staring at a text that cracks open your entire reality, just know. Sometimes the scariest thing isn't the lie. It's what you do after the truth arrives. Posted by you/throwra_twist of 3.